Welcome back to the Oddity Shop, the podcast where we tell you creepy, odd, weird, strange, and bizarre stories from around the globe. I got you on globe. I almost said world. I don't know why I choked up twice there. I'm your curator, Zachary, sitting here with the other wondrous, magical curator, Kara. Hello.
Hello. That was cute.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I cracked a beer right before we started this, so I'm doing wonderful now.
Same. Really quick, before we get into too much, I do have some stuff to talk about. I'm sure you do.
Ooh, okay.
Do you want to tell our wonderful people, and if you want to just save this for Patreon, you can this part. Do you want to tell our wonderful people how you could barely speak last episode? For like 20 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay. No, I would like to tell myself I was under-caffeinated.
No.
But not to quote Jojo Siwa, but dream guest on my podcast, Jeff Blanger. That man, he is so funny, so charismatic. Charming.
Charm City.
I literally forgot how to formulate a sentence. I will say, if you guys listened to the episode last week, I did a darn good job editing out about probably 50% of my stupid chuckles. I left as much of them in there as I could stand.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think you were that bad.
Oh,
I did notice, though, obviously, for the first like 20 minutes or so, like you were barely speaking. And I was just like, oh, maybe I'm speaking too much.
No, I needed you.
And so then I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, no. Zach is like,
I was starstruck.
Zach is melting away.
It was amazing. If you haven't listened to that, though, it was such a good conversation. And he has a way of just like talking and pulling things together in a complete knot. Like, go listen to it.
Beautiful, beautiful man.
Yes.
Soul and all. Okay, well, I just had to put that in there because that was just so funny.
I have a shout out that I'd like to give.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously, weeks ago now for listeners, but you and I just got back from the Mysteries of the Fort Paranormal Symposium.
Right, which we didn't get to talk about on last episode because it was a guest.
Yes. So a couple things I want to talk about from there. First of all, Bree and Nick, who put that on along with their entire family, were
amazing, wonderful, incredible.
The most gracious hosts of this con. They had snacks, they had raffles, they had that thing on lock.
So much fun, and every single person was so pleasant.
Yes.
Just amazing.
And I want to give a big shout out, though, to our raffle winner of the Spirit Board, Miss Addie from Madison Seminary and like 8 other haunted locations that she works at.
Yes.
She just kept coming and buying tickets and like if she didn't win, we almost talked about rigging. Yeah. But congratulations. It was nice to meet her and the rest of the Creepy Crates table she was at, and like so many other old friends, new friends. It just had the most wonderful vibe I have ever felt from a paranormal get together.
Listen, I didn't feel like worn down leaving. Like I didn't, like a lot of times when we go to these events, like we feel so drained and it's just like, oh, you have a great time. But this was like just so, I don't want to say chill because that's not the right word. I mean, it kind of, but it was just so like great because there was not one person there that like didn't feel like your family once we left.
Oh, yeah.
Like just the sweetest.
Whether you just met them, whether we just went ghost hunting with them, whether they had been guests on our show, like it was so fun. I also saw there was a builder there, Austin Maynard. I don't know if you've seen all the Facebook posts where like everyone's like tagging everyone saying how great it was.
Yeah.
One of them, though, I did see where Austin was tagging a bunch of people. He goes, you're pulling up to the paranormal or the right hotel for the paranormal convention when you see this. And he posted a video of like when everyone started to pull in for the convention, all of the lights in the parking lot started going crazy, like blinking. Yeah. It was like, we're not the only ones who noticed that.
That's so funny. I didn't see that video, but yeah, that was happening to us. So really quick, though, on this subject, I have to just read this. So I told y'all that I was going to make Jeff Fent my new bestie. And I could not wait to hug that man when we got there. And I did hug him the second I saw him. But what I have to just say, and like, I don't want to cry, but I just have to read this because he is such a sweet human. And if you could not tell when we interviewed him how much of just like the sweetest man he is, I can't even tell you. So very quickly before I dwell on it, I recently, all my health stuff, but I was recently diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. And it's not really been a fun journey. Actually, it's been miserable. And it's taking everything for me to pull it together.
And you've been doing amazing with it.
Thank you. And to go that weekend, it was just whatever. Anyway, this wonderful, beautiful man texted me or messaged me on Monday morning at like 7 a.m. And this is what he said. Hi, Kara. So happy I got to meet you in person. Thank you for telling me about your health issues because you definitely didn't have to. I hope everything goes really well with you and that you get to where you're feeling good again. You got this, my wonderful friend. Ever need anything, just give me a shout. Always here for you.
Oh, he was just so great. And there's not one person we met at the event who didn't say like they had something cool or some piece of equipment or something. They're like, I got it from Jeff. Jeff. Jeff gave me this. That man just like is so giving. Yes.
So what's really sweet is from today, Zach will be in Ohio in what, a week?
Yeah, about 10 days. Yeah.
Something like that.
What day is it?
Yeah, like 10 days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I was supposed to go, and y'all know you're supposed to go, where we were going to Madison Seminary, and we were very excited about it, and I cannot go. And I'm devastated. I'm heartbroken, and I just feel absolutely miserable about it. But my bestie, like I said, he's going to be my bestie. Jeff told me he will take me anytime. He said, you just let me know, and on a weekday we will go. And if you want to spend the night, I'll let you spend the night.
Don't say that on the podcast. You're getting him in trouble.
I'm whispering it. Anyway, I just love Jeff Fent so much.
Perfect. Okay, I'm sure we could keep gushing.
Do you have anything else? Quick.
I don't have anything else. No, let's I have a question for you before we open the shop. And that
don't
question
ask me if I have a question, because I will lose my mind.
I forgot the question that I had.
Thank you. I'm not in the mood for your shenanigans.
It's how we open the shop, Kara. It's not shenanigans.
No, it's not you asking me if I have a question. It's me asking you a question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it strange how history repeats itself?
So strange. It's almost like things just spiral around.
Is it strange or is it fucking stupidity?
Oh, it's both.
Okay.
I mean, there are strange things, rant. But there are definitely times where things repeat out of pure stupidity and not learning lessons, as we had a nice little chat with Jeff Belanger about.
Oh, we did. Wow. Okay. All right. So we like to think that we've come a long way with like mental health care, social support, and how we treat the people society push to the margins. But the cracks are still there, big ones.
Oh, yeah.
And we still see people slipping through the system. And we still hear stories about abuse inside institutions meant to help.
Oh, God. This is going to be a dark one.
Which we also talked about this. We also talked about this with Belanger. Okay, so we still use prisons, shelters, and hospitals as kind of like a catch-all place for anyone who doesn't fit neatly into a box. And we still struggle with the idea that some lives are treated as disposable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you scroll the news today and read about overcrowded psychiatric wards or understaffed hospitals, the homeless crisis, or inmates with untreated mental illness, it's easy to feel like this is just like a modern problem, but it isn't. So New York had these same struggles almost 200 years ago. So the same debates, the same complaints, the same human suffering. And the city's solution back then was just very simple. Ship people away. Just hide them.
Oh, I think I have an idea where this is going.
I don't know if you do, but you might.
Okay.
Hey, Zach, are you running low on spiritual supplies?
Hey, Kara, are you looking for a place with handmade items?
Yeah, we should probably go to Mystic Moons.
Oh, our buddies?
Yeah.
They make the most wonderful hand-dipped incense with over 24 scents, and we've smelled absolutely every single one of them.
Yeah, or maybe you might just be looking for a hand-strung bracelet made with only the best intentions.
And not only do they have the best intentions, they have 4 strings each, and they last forever, which I would know because I've broken every bracelet you've made for me and not theirs.
Oops. Well, they also have simmer pots for every occasion, like San to Yule.
And don't forget, Melinda is also a medium and a tarot card reader who's given us amazing readings, so she's ready to help us or you connect with past loved ones and get to know insights into your world.
My spirit animal is a camel. Thanks, Melinda. Anyway, so look for Mystic Moons on Facebook or Etsy, and then you can restock all your spiritual supplies.
Oh, be sure to check them out at www.etsy.com/shop/Mystic Moons LLC.
Or at Mystic Moons on Facebook. They're all over our socials, so I'm sure you'll find them.
So go get some goodies. Okay, Kara, goodbye.
Bye. Okay, so just make them somebody else's problem, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that choice created one of like the darkest places in New York's history, and that was Blackwell's Island.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not going to dwell too much on that, but I'm going to give you a little bit. So the island didn't start as a place of nightmares, as they all kind of do. So originally, it was just a stretch of quiet land in the East River, farmland, trees, open space. But New York City had other plans, and those plans weren't really gentle. So in the 1830s, as the city exploded with people, poverty, and social problems no one wanted to deal with, Blackwell's Island became the perfect solution. Out of sight, out of mind, easy to control, and it was also easy to forget. So the city filled it.
Absolutely.
So it first came with the almshouse for the poor. Then there was a workhouse for petty criminals and anyone that police
only the prettiest ones.
They might have been pretty. And police, they just didn't know what to do with. I'm getting a hot flash. Oh my God. Sorry, guys.
Just rip the sweater off.
I honestly might. It's misery. It's misery in these parts. So then the penitentiary, because of overcrowding on the mainland, it was just out of control. And finally, the lunatic asylum. So by 1839, the island was transformed from farmland into one of the largest clusters of institutional buildings in America, all of them meant to separate the undesirable from the rest of the society. Right. And it obviously showed, right? So the asylum was cold from the start, literally and emotionally. Broken windows, overcrowded wards, untrained staff, patients, chained to fixtures, women sleeping in freezing rooms with wet hair after their baths, just like
pretty much everything was wet on that island.
Yeah. Doctors complained that the city didn't fund the place. Patients complained that no one listened to them. And inspectors complained that everything was deteriorating faster than it could be repaired. So just a hot mess, right? The island became a world of its own, a place where suffering was just like a routine and silence was just expected, which we obviously know that so well. So over the decade, the institutions kind of shifted. So buildings were expanded, repurposed, renamed. The asylum split into multiple facilities. The prison grew. The workhouse population swelled. And the island turned into a kind of like a human dumping ground for all of New York's problems.
Right.
So it didn't stop. It just got worse. And it still was like just a dumping ground.
Because nobody had to see it, like you said.
Right. And sorry. It's sad because we kind of did talk about this a little bit with Belanger. They never start out this way. They're never intended to be this way. And that is kind of like the saddest part to me, is that the intention on almost every one of these that we talk about is never...
Because we don't fund those social safety nets, but...
Correct. By the late 1800s and into the early 1900s, the city started to realize how bad the island's reputation had become. And slowly, piece by piece, the old institutions shut down or evolved. The workplace buildings became part of the city's welfare system. Some asylum structures were converted into a nursing hospital. And eventually the penitentiary was closed. The almshouse became the foundation of what would later be Goldwater Memorial Hospital. And Blackwell's Island itself got a new name, Welfare Island, an attempt to kind of like rebrand the decades of misery, but it's just stamped into history. It can't, it's just hard to do that. But the transformation didn't really end there. So by the 1970s, after most of the old institutions closed or fell into ruin, the island was renamed once more, Roosevelt Island, a modern residential community rising on the bones of its past, luxury apartments, parks, schools, a tram gliding above the river.
Which again, it's, we can't help people. Let's make money off of it instead. So frustrating.
It is, because if you could do all of that, why couldn't you have just...
Because they're going to profit off of the schools and the houses and the trams.
I know. Ugh. Okay, so... Basically a built-over place where so many once suffered, forgotten in cold wards and cracked stone buildings. We just built right over it. So Blackwell's Island may be gone in name, but the island remembers. But someone new at the time set their sights on the island. Someone curious, stubborn, and completely unafraid of digging into places anyone else avoided.
You took interest in the island?
You know what's so funny? I was about to say, was this me? I wish. So she wasn't a doctor or a nurse or a city official, just an outsider with a talent for asking questions and even bigger talent for finding the truth in places built on silence. Do you still know what we're about to talk about?
I thought we were just going on the island itself.
Okay,
no, I'm now totally fresh.
Okay. So she wanted to see Blackwell's Island for herself, up close as a person could get if you know, just shut your mouth. And what she was about to uncover, no one else was ready for. So before she even stepped foot near Blackwell's Island, Nellie Bly was already busy rewriting the rule book about what women could do. Mm-hmm. So this is the important part to me. Is she is born as Elizabeth Jane Cochrane. And to me, I think that's how she should be known, is Elizabeth, because that's her name. A girl from a small Pennsylvania town who lost everything when her father died. So watching her family grow or go from respected to struggling kind of just lit something in her. And she learned early that the world wasn't fair, especially if you were a woman without money or protection, which sounds about right now.
Throughout pretty much all of history.
And instead of shrinking from that, she just got louder. And when she landed a newspaper job at 18 years old, all because she clapped back at a sexist article that was titled, "What Girls Are Good For," which I'm not even going to delve into.
I think we can all know, where that one ended up.
So her real name, like I said, is Elizabeth Cochrane, but she wrote under the pen name or the pseudonym Nellie Bly. So a newspaper editor picked it for her. They kind of picked it together. But basically, when she started reporting, it was not safe. So it kind of did stick. But it was partly to protect her privacy and partly because women journalists just were often given stage names back then just because it was for their safety, protection, just like keep them anonymous. But at her core, she's Elizabeth.
I'm so excited you're doing this. I forgot about this story.
Well, I just think it's important, like I said, to give credit where credit's due. And so
absolutely.
I'm going to refer to her as Elizabeth until we kind of get further down. And then I'm going to refer to her as Nellie. Now, here's the thing. She's not around. We probably could summon her. I'd love to chat. But I would love to think that she would rather have gone by Elizabeth because she was just a boisterous woman trying to do right. But also I could be wrong. So maybe she wants to go by Nellie. I don't know. But for the sake of this, I'm going to interchange it based on parts of her life.
Okay.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. So Elizabeth did not tiptoe around. She drove straight into the kind of work reporters twice her age had avoided. She wrote about women working 12-hour days in factories, getting burned, injured, and paid almost nothing. She actually took a job undercover at a factory. She pretended that she was a poor person that needed a job. And when I say pretend, she actually didn't pretend to work. She went undercover and worked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Going undercover was kind of her shtick.
Yeah. Yeah. She had to.
Right.
No one would have talked to her otherwise, let's be honest. But she also wanted to get the real scoop on things. Mm-hmm. She wrote. But you
have to commend her for that.
This is why we're talking about her.
Fair. Okay.
So she wrote about divorces, domestic violence, child custody, topics that were considered improper for women to even talk about, let alone publish. And let me clarify. So when she was writing as Nellie Bly, it was still known that it was a woman.
Right.
So at first, I was kind of reading stuff that was no, this was to try to protect that she was a woman. And I think it probably started out that way. But as she started really being super boisterous and whatever, it's just kind of one of those things, it came out that she's a woman, but no one knew her real name still.
Okay. Gotcha.
So she interviewed people no one else dared to approach. She took the bus, the ferry, the street corners, anywhere real people were struggling. And she didn't just report from the sidelines, right? So like we said, or like I said, she was in the factory. She believed that to tell someone's story, you had to see their world. So she just got creative, which I don't even know if you can call that creative. I think that's just walking in somebody else's shoes so that you can understand them.
And I feel like that takes a lot of bravery and courage, especially if she was brought up.
Could you imagine?
money, not,
she was 18 years old.
Yeah.
In that time.
Good on her.
Oh, I did kind of already say this, but she took an undercover job in a box factory so that she could write about how brutal the conditions were. She exposed crooked employment agencies that scammed young women who came to the city looking for work. She posed as the poor, desperate girl and visited boarding houses so she could document what they were really like.
Mm-hmm.
She pushed into political spaces where women weren't welcome and asked questions no one expected her to. Editors actually tried over and over again to tame her, like to kind of tuck her away. And they wanted her to write on the woman's page, which was the section of the paper where women journalists were expected to stay like writing about society events, recipes, proper topics.
Yeah, like stay in your lane. Ugh.
So they did that all the time. Like a lot of editors tried to get her fired. Just like, hello. I don't even have to explain that. I think we all get that part. But she never really fit inside a box. And she didn't want to, and she demanded more. And she had a knack for storytelling, but most importantly, she had a talent for getting the truth in places designed to hide it. And people noticed. Readers loved her. Powerful men hated her, and her name started to mean something. Again, I kind of wish it was her real name, but I guess for the safety of it, I understand why, but it's just like, damn, she was a troublemaker. At
least we do know her real name now, because I'm sure there's so many
This is very true.
Didn't have that same.
This is true. She was a troublemaker, right? The smart, fearless kind that makes real changes, and that's just what it takes. Okay, so by the time she started eyeing Blackwell's Island, she wasn't some random girl with a notebook. She was a woman who had already stared down corrupt officials, abusive employers, and the rotten underbelly of the 19th century America. And she told the world exactly what she saw. She didn't ever sugarcoat it or try to hide any of the facts. Like, it was exactly what it was. She told everybody.
And why would she? It would totally undermine everything she was doing.
And she purposely never looked for the safe stories.
Right.
Like you said, it's kind of her shtick to go undercover. I don't even know if she necessarily picked the stories to go undercover. She just picked what was important to get the truth out. So Blackwell's Island was next, not because it was sensational, obviously, but because it was forgotten. And because the people there had no voice. And Elizabeth had one hell of a voice to lend. So by the time the Blackwell's Island investigation happened, Nellie Bly already had a reputation in the newsroom. The reporter who would say yes to anything, even if it meant getting to the real story. Did I say that? No. So the reporter who would say yes to anything if it meant getting to the real story.
I knew what you meant.
Thank you.
I think we all did. We'll give you grace.
She just hated that fluffy, polite assignment. So she didn't take them. On September 22nd, Elizabeth's editor. Oh my God, what is going on?
Consonants are just a struggle today.
Elizabeth's editor at the New York World asked her the unthinkable. And this is his question. Would you have yourself committed to one of the asylums for the insane in New York to write a plain and unvarnished narrative of the treatment of the patients therein and the methods of management? Abuse, freezing rooms, starvation, neglect. But no one could prove any of it. So visitors were escorted, officials lied or minimized anything, and patients just weren't believed. So the only way to know the truth was simple. Someone had to get in.
I love that this is where you're going. I wrote a paper about this in school.
Really?
Back when I was going for social and psych. And I think Julia read a book on this last year, so she's going to love this episode. Let's go. Oh my gosh, I love her.
Okay, so the editor basically said, who on earth would be brave enough to do that? And Elizabeth didn't hesitate. She volunteered.
Yeah, there's only one answer.
And not because she wanted the shock value or because she wanted to be famous, but because the moment she heard women were suffering behind locked doors with no way to defend themselves, something in her snapped into place. Ooh, I just got full body goosebumps. She knew she could get in. She knew she could pass as someone who didn't fit. And she knew that she had the guts to see it through. And the most importantly, she knew that she had the voice to tell the world what she had found after.
Right.
And that was all the encouragement the editor needed. And they made a plan. Elizabeth would fake mental illness. She'd get arrested or committed naturally without the paper intervening.
Yeah, it was totally just
Oh, I have full body goosebumps. Okay, so she wouldn't break character no matter what. And the paper would work behind the scenes to get her released after she had gathered everything that she could. It was extremely risky, dangerous as fuck. And if anything went wrong, there was a very, very real chance that she would never, ever get out.
It takes serious guts. I mean, just like, especially given that time period, right? People did not really leave asylums. You went there and you were gone.
Especially a woman.
Because, I mean, you could get diagnosed, even if...
No, you can be...
You could be diagnosed for fucking anything. And then...
No, you could just be unruly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're mentally insane.
Exactly. And then could you imagine the men behind that, right? Now they find out she's part of the paper and you think they're going to risk that getting out? They're going to find any reason to keep her like that.
Yeah, if they found out.
Right. Like they'll give her a diagnosis so that it's, oh my God, sorry. It's so brave.
I'm wondering if she had thought about it, and I'm sure she did, whether she wrote about it or not. The newspaper and other editors and other people, right, and all these strong, powerful men have been trying to shut her up for a long time. This literally could have been a ploy just to get her locked up.
Yeah.
And they could have never came back to get her because it could have been intentional.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that went through her mind because she's a very, very smart woman.
How could it not?
So the fact that she still went through it just speaks volumes.
It speaks about her character. Yeah.
Okay, so Elizabeth obviously wasn't the type to back down, and that's how she became the woman who willingly walked into a place everyone else feared, just to make sure the voices inside were finally heard. And this is a quote. So on the 22nd of September, I was asked by the World paper, if I could have myself committed to one of the asylums for the insane in New York, with a view to writing a plan and unvarnished narrative. So she paused. Could she pull it off? Let's hear what she said.
Let's do it.
Did I think I had the courage to go through such an ordeal as the mission would demand? Could I assume the characteristics of insanity to such a degree that I could pass the doctors, live for a week among the insane? I said I believed I could.
Just no hesitation.
And so she accepted. And with that, she donned the new alias, Nellie Brown, deliberately choosing initials matching her name. So she really did just go by Nellie at this point because she was Nellie Bly at the time. Nellie Brown had the same initials. So her clothing and like movements could be tracked if needed. That's how smart she is. That she's thinking that my clothes.
Well, she can't go in with her pseudonym because they would figure that out because she's writing under it.
Well, right. But I'm just saying she's so smart to not go in as Elizabeth because people don't even know her by that. So she can't really be tracked by like her clothing and things like that or anything, right? So she's still going to go as Nellie Brown, just so that there is some sort of tracking that can be had, which is very smart to me.
It's smart. Yeah.
Right. So she said that I should pass under the pseudonym of Nellie Brown, the initials of which would agree with my own name and my linen. Smart lady. Okay. So preparing for this, because of course she didn't just go, she prepared because she's smart. So preparing to become the insane girl. Nellie returned to a woman's boarding house. It was a temporary home for females, and she kind of began practicing her performance. So she studied faces of lunatics, which I know it's not a nice word now, but that's what they were referred to. She practiced faces of lunatics in the mirror. She forced herself to go like real wide-eyed so she could wide-eye stare. And she rehearsed like that vacant, faraway look that some of like unhinged people have, which... I'm sorry, but that's really hard.
I feel like it's easy to do for 10 seconds, not to hold it.
And she was quoted, what a difficult task, I thought, to appear before a crowd of people and convince them that I was insane. I remembered all I had read of the doings of crazy people, how first of all, they have a staring eyes. So like, yeah, like just, you know, like you can envision
just thinking like the Kubrick stare.
Yeah, just like off in the distance though, like just looking right
not
through
focusing.
You. Yeah. So she slowed her movements. She refused to sleep, hinted. Okay, I didn't really put all this in here, but let me just backtrack a little bit. So this woman basically went to this like woman's shelter. She went in, asked if they had a place to stay. I think it was like 38 cents a night. And she purposely only brought like 72 cents or something like that because she knew that she didn't want to have, the sooner that she ran out of the money, the sooner she could be committed or kicked out at least. So her plan would work, right? So she bunked with a roommate because there was no single living. And she basically just started kind of slowly acting weird in this home because no one knows her real personality. So
and you can't just like go in on 10. You have to like ease into it.
So she just really slowed down all her body movements. She refused to sleep because that would just like help with the delirium. And she hinted at like her baggage being lost. She told other boarders like she felt unsafe, all with the goal of like being noticed to basically be committed through the police court route rather than relying on like friendly doctors. Like she wanted to be like crazy. Like, I want to be arrested, court, committed. And she said, I determined upon the plan which led me to the successful accomplishment of my mission. I succeeded in getting committed to the insane ward at Blackwell Island. It's just the steps that she already went through, right? So she practiced everything before, found a women's shelter, acted hysterical there to purposely get arrested, to then have to go to court.
She was committed to the bit.
Like fully committed. Her acts gained attention, right? And then there was complaints about her behavior, which led to her being taken to court. So she pretended confusion and memory loss, and physicians briefly examined her and just signed off. She was sent to Bellevue Hospital for observation, and then she was shipped by ferry to the asylum on Blackwell Island. Here's the wildest part. They looked at her eyes and then accused her of being on drugs because they said her pupils had been dilated since she checked into the house, which they weren't.
It shows you how much bias people in power had.
The doctor made her stick out her tongue, and she refused at first because he's like, you're sick. And she's like, I'm not sick, which is really funny because she wasn't even acting at that time. She's like, no, I'm not sick. And then they took her refusal of showing her tongue and saying that she's not sick as her being insane. So when she finally stuck out her tongue to comply, they were like, oh, yes, like you're insane. What the fuck are you talking about?
Confirmation bias. They were just looking for anything. I
don't even know if that's confirmation bias, though. That's just lying. There are no physical signs. To me, confirmation bias is like look down that hallway. Don't you see that?
They're confirming that she had already been told she was crazy. They don't want to. They're not going to say no. Why would they? They're going to look for anything. That's totally confirmation bias.
I think it's just lying. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, like, to me, confirmation bias is like, do you see that black spot on her tongue? Yes, I see that black spot. Not just stick out your tongue. Yep, you're crazy. That's not even confirmation bias. That's just absolute idiocracy.
I mean, it's both. I'll give you that.
Okay. I succeeded in getting committed to the insane ward at Blackwell Island, where I spent 10 days and nights. Okay.
She's lucky it was only 10 days and nights.
Girl. Okay. Her first glimpse was the ambulance pulled up by to the asylum grounds. And it was basically just like chilling. So she said, on the wagon sped, we passed one low building, and the stench was so horrible that I was compelled to hold my breath. And she recorded like just dread sinking in. She said, at the Blackwell Island Lunatic Asylum, we were driven to a prison through no fault of our own. How much easier would it be to walk to the gallows than to this tomb of living horrors?
It's a solid start.
So once she was inside in like her first hours, that's kind of, I think, when her realization like really like was like, oh my God. So once inside, Nellie, we're just going to call her Nellie now because she's here. Yes, Nellie Brown. She looked around and realized the mission was no longer experimental. The horror was real. And she said the insane asylum at Blackwell Island is a human rat trap.
Ugh, disgusting.
So she described the uniforms, a plain flannel slip print marked Lunatic Asylum B.I. Hall Sick. That was like embossed on the back. And she said, I burst into roars of laughter. They put me dripping wet into a short flannel slip labeled a Lunatic Asylum BIH6. That was what she quoted. She observed women who seemed sane, widows, immigrants, girls with grief tossed into the ward, not because they were dangerous, but because they were powerless. And the moment Nellie stepped off the boat, like that dread just hit her like a wall. She described the building as cold, gray, and lifeless, more prison-like than hospital. And the dinky little uniforms weren't the worst part. So she wrote, the cold water was poured over my head, down my neck and back. I expected to take a fainting spell. So it was so frigidly cold that she almost fainted.
Which is only going to make people act more quote unquote insane.
100%. So this was her intake bath. It was ice cold water dumped over her while attendants laughed, scrubbed her roughly, and ignored her shriveling. Her hair was left wet as they shoved her into the freezing hall. And she said, I was chilled to the bone and shaking. And that was just the first 20 minutes of her being there. So Zach doesn't have like long hair, but you're not dumb. So you can envision.
Girl, I had long hair once.
Yeah, but you can't just have long hair. Like you can't have sopping wet hair. It just gets matted and knotted.
It's not going to dry when it's that cold.
No.
Like,
so can you imagine being in a tiny little gown?
No.
Soaking wet in... no. Mm-mm. Okay.
The only thing is like, think of her experience compared to others, because she at least has a glimmer of hope in her mind of getting out of there. And it's still truly traumatizing for her. Like it's absolutely horrible. But think of all the hundreds of other people who had no hope to get out.
Yes, but also I would have to think, though, that the longer she stayed, the more she thought she wasn't.
Right. But she had at least
I know,
tiny part of her. Everyone else, no.
Ugh. Okay. So as soon as she kind of got settled in to the common room, this is kind of when Nellie noticed something, that most of the women didn't seem insane. So she met an immigrant girl who couldn't speak English and was institutionalized simply because no one could understand her. A perfectly coherent widow, committed after losing her husband. She just was sobbing for days. So
as you should.
A German woman placed there after being ill, not mentally ill, just physically sick and unable to communicate. So they shipped her there. And a young girl, barely in her teens, who cried constantly because she didn't know where she was or why she was there.
Horrible. Just absolutely horrifying.
So Nellie wrote, the greatest experts could not discover the difference between me and the insane patients. There are many women here who are no more insane than I am. And she meant that. Like most of those women weren't mad. They were just poor or foreign, grieving, or just like simply inconvenient to New York City.
God, I hate this.
Okay, so let's talk about the food. So meals were a fucking horror show. Breakfast was usually oatmeal with black riddling bits in it, which is absolutely disgusting because basically these little bits were just like moving in your oatmeal.
So bugs. I mean, oatmeal is horrifying to start with.
Or like mealworms or something. So she said the food was vile, the butter was rancid, and the bread was dry and dirty. Dinner was mostly like boiled meat that was so tough she described it as rope. And the coffee came in a tin cup that smelled like chemicals. And don't even get me started on the water because
it probably was chemicals.
Yeah, but she said that she could see bits of dust and hair floating in it. And one woman whispered to her at like a mealtime, if you don't eat, they will think that you're insane. So this other woman, being sane, recognizes and is like, hey, girl, if you actually don't eat, then they just dub you more insane. So fucking eat.
God.
And so Nellie just choked down as much as she possibly could. Which I don't know if I could have done any of that. It's nasty as fuck. So night was what was worse than the day. Patients slept in long rows of cots with no heat, thin blankets, and windows that couldn't close. And in the winter wind, the rooms hit near outdoor temperatures. And so she wrote, my teeth chattered and my limbs shook. I cannot understand why the women are forced to freeze. This fucking got me and I choked up. So many women begged for extra blankets, and this is what they were told, and this is a quote, crazy people don't need comfort.
It just shows you how subhuman. They didn't even think of them as people.
No. Rat trap. Human rat trap. So she described a woman who sobbed all night. We kind of talked about her before because her feet were so swollen from the cold. And another woman coughed blood onto her pillow, and the attendants didn't check on them. They basically just, oh my God. So some attendants were simply overwhelmed, obviously. but others were downright cruel. And Nellie described one nurse who delighted in frightening the patients. And this is a quote. Nellie said that she jabbed her finger in my face and told me she would make me sorry. Another attendant hit a patient for whispering. One dragged a woman by her hair. Another forced a girl under icy water until she choked. And Nellie wrote, I watched them closely. Their treatment of the patients was harsh, cold, and cruel. And every few days, patients were forced into cold water baths, naked, no privacy, and scrubbed roughly until their skin was burned.
So you literally never have a moment of warmth.
No, but here's the thing. Places like these don't want to give you baths. So the fact that they are giving you a bath is because they are just trying to fucking torture you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because to me, you getting a bath every couple of days is like a luxury in these places.
Unless it's cold water and they're scrubbing your fucking skin off.
Exactly. They're doing it because they want to torture you. Oh my God. So one patient, a frail older woman, nearly passed out in the tub because they were like beating the shit out of her basically. And the attendants just laughed.
I don't even have words.
The women sat on these hard benches for hours, sometimes 14 hours straight. And they were forbidden to move, talk, or comfort one another. And Nellie called it a system of large-scale torture by enforced idleness. So if a woman shifted, asked a question, or tried to stretch, she was punished. Some women seemed to lose their minds simply from the monotony.
How would you not? If you weren't quote unquote insane when you went in, you were definitely not going to leave that place unscathed.
So Nellie's said, if you are not insane when you come in, you will be by the time you leave.
Yeah.
So here's kind of like where we get the climax, if you will. So after a few days, Nellie stopped pretending to be insane and she spoke clearly. She acted normally. She tried to tell the doctor she was sane. No one listened. Instead, they added new notes to her chart labeling her disturbed, violent, or delusional. And so she wrote,
God forbid your personality changes. That's just going to get you a hell of a lot more diagnoses.
Right. But here, let me say one thing. From the moment I entered the insane ward on the island, I made no attempt to keep up the assumed role of insanity. The more sanely I talked and acted, the crazier I was thought to be. And so this was the heart of her investigation. And the most terrifying discovery is that you could be perfectly sane and never convince anyone otherwise.
So it's not even that we're treating people with mental illness.
No.
Terribly.
No.
It's that we're treating anybody who we have deemed as being a lesser human as completely subhuman.
It basically doesn't matter how you got there, why you're there. Once you're there, you're not real.
You're dead. Yeah.
You're worse than an animal. You know what I mean? Like they're treating you worse than animals. Like yeah, you're dead. You might as well be. Throughout her stay, women, would whisper to Nellie, please get me out. Tell them I'm sane. My family doesn't know I'm here. Why am I here? Why won't they listen? And these pleas stayed with her just long after, obviously, she left.
Yeah, how could they not?
Oh, God, I have goosebumps. So after 10 days, a lawyer from the New York World arrived to pull her out. She described her mix of relief and guilt. And she said, I left the insane ward with pleasure and regret. Regret that I could not have brought with me some of the unfortunate women who lived and suffered with me. Here's why we're talking about this incredible fucking powerhouse of a woman. Her article exploded, and I will have the article linked, and y'all should read it.
It's a powerful one.
So it exploded. Inspectors then followed. Staff were fired. Funding increased. Abusive attendants were removed, and the public demanded reform. So Nellie Bly, or the absolute amazing Elizabeth Jane Cochrane, at only 23 fucking years old, changed the entire system. The freezing nights, the rotten food, the woman begging for help, the screaming baths, and the mocking attendants. That's only a fraction of what she actually lived through, but her full account is just so much worse, and she is so much more detailed and just heartbreaking. For 10 straight days, she just didn't get to step away. She didn't get to take a breath or remind herself that this was temporary because she was living through the horror. She lived fully in fear, the helplessness, the pain, just like any other woman trapped in that building. And then she wrote about it. Every blow, every scream, every injustice, every woman she met who didn't belong there, every moment she realized just how easy it was to lose your freedom and how impossible it was to prove your sanity once someone decided otherwise. So her article is called 10 Days in the Madhouse. Like I said, everybody read it, but it wasn't just journalism. It was a warning, a spotlight, a scream through these pages. Like, look at what's happening behind closed doors. And even after everything she endured, she walked out knowing one truth that still hits hard today. If she hadn't been a reporter with powerful allies, she might have never walked out.
Even with those, she's lucky to have walked out.
And for all the horror Nellie documented in her article, people say that the island kept its own record, and the echoes and the shadows and the things that refused to leave. We already know all of that, how we feel about that. Them walls, the land, honey, the land it holds.
Honey, the land.
You know what's so funny
sound lately.
It's so funny because Morbid's been on a kick about that, and they'll always be like, but honey, it's the land. It's so funny.
I've been dying, but my entire TikTok is now that because I keep looking.
So anyway, Blackwell's Island is one of those places where the history and the hauntings blur together.
Oh, yeah.
And long before it became Roosevelt Island, visitors, nurses, and construction workers all talked about strange experiences that didn't make sense.
Before we go into this, can I just make one more comment about...
Yeah, sure, because I was just going to end with some quick little haunting. So you tell me what you want.
I just have to say, it is... Like, imagine if she didn't do this. Imagine if that editor came up to her or they wouldn't let her. How much longer this would have gone on with an incredibly brave woman such as herself. And it's incredible that she did what she did. And it's incredible that she made change to this one location. But how many other hundreds of places didn't have a Nellie or an Elizabeth? And that those horrors still endured. Like, it was such a brave move for her to do it, but it was so selfless. And the change that she brought about. Sorry, I just had to get on my soapbox for a minute there, but it's incredible. And I'd like, for that being incredible for that spot, there's thousands of other people who didn't get that same thing. And this is why you always need to stand up for what the hell you believe in. Okay, now we can go on to the hauntings. I'll stop making you cry.
No, it's okay. So yeah, I just kind of want to leave, not that this wasn't powerful and really impactful. I wanted to leave us on like a lighter note. So here are some of the most consistent hauntings tied to the asylum and the grounds. The land.
Honey, the land.
Thank you. The screaming hallway. So former attendants, even decades after the asylum closed, swore that a certain hallway echoed with the sounds of women wailing and gasping the way they did during the forced ice water baths. And people say that the screams would build and then stop suddenly, like someone's head was being held underwater. A modern Roosevelt Island resident once claimed she heard a woman crying inside the remains of the Octagon building late at night. And when she looked, there was no one there.
This is a place I don't think I could investigate.
It would be really, really hard. Mm-hmm. Women in thin gowns. So security guards and late night staff have reported seeing the same figure again and again. A woman wearing a thin, white, torn asylum dress, hair dripping wet, shivering and hugging herself. Some say she appears in the Octagon stairwell. Others say they see her near the old seawall, like she's trying to find the ferry home.
Oh, God.
And when approached, she either disappears entirely or turns and gives a stare so hollow it stops people cold. And many believe she's one of the women forced into those freezing intakes baths, still searching for warmth that never came. Oh, I want to die right now. The bench spirits. So remember how Nellie described women being forced to sit on those wooden benches for 12 to 14 hours? People believe that these benches absorb that suffering, and several paranormal investigators claim that if you sit quietly in the Octagon, which is now like new luxury apartments, but it was originally like the asylum's main entrance, you might hear like soft weeping or the sounds of like fingernails tapping on the wood. Or a whisper like right behind your ear saying, don't move, because you weren't supposed to move.
Right.
And one investigator reported that she felt her entire body locked for a moment, as if somebody invisible was forcing her to stay still, which these women are still trying to protect people after.
God, what a heavy place.
This one got me. So
I thought you were leaving it lighter.
I know, I'm sorry. So the little girl who never found her way out. So remember how Nellie wrote about that young girl in the asylum? Like she was just barely a teenager. She cried. She had no idea why she was there. She wasn't violent. She was just kind of like delusional. she was just like terrified and alone. And she told Nellie once, like, I want to go home. Please take me home. But there was no home for her to go to. And no one ever came for her, I guess. And after Nellie left, the girl's name vanished from the records. And one of many who kind of disappeared.
And we know what that means when they disappear from the records.
Decades later, when the asylum was long gone and the island was like being rebuilt, construction workers renovating the Octagon reported something strange, the sound of a child crying softly in an empty structure. Always at night and always near the stairwell where the children's ward once was. And security guards have claimed they've seen flashes of movement, a small figure darting around corners. Some hear faint footsteps following behind them when the building is completely empty. And one guard swore he heard a little voice whisper, "Please don't leave me."
Oh.
And so they say the spirit of the little girl still wanders the island searching for someone to take her home, something like she never had in life.
You know what? I know we don't like ghost children around here, but
I would take her.
Can we take her home?
Oh, I would take her in a heartbeat. All right. So basically, though, this all changed because one woman, Elizabeth Jane, better known as Nellie Bly, had the courage to walk into a place built on silence and come back with the truth. She was young, she was underestimated, and she used that to expose a system that was crushing women and the world refused to see. So her 10 days inside the asylum forced people to confront suffering they had ignored for decades. Elizabeth didn't just document abuse, she gave a voice to women who were never supposed to speak. And here's what makes her story hit even harder. We still see echoes of that world today. Underfunded hospital, overcrowded psych wards, women dismissed instead of believed, people slipping through the cracks that should have been fixed a long time ago. And Elizabeth's work reminds us, though, that one voice can still make a difference. Ooh, truly. I'm going to cry. And one person willing to step into the dark, ask hard questions, and refuse to be told to sit down. The island obviously has a new name now, a new skyline, a new reputation, but her legacy is what really lingers, a reminder that a shining light can change everything, and that we still need voices like hers today.
Hell yeah, for badass women like her.
And that is the incredible, heroic story of Elizabeth Jane Cochrane, better known as Nellie Bly.
Oh my God, what a heavy one.
I could have kept going and gave more details. Please, everybody, read that article. You can find it anywhere. You can literally just Google it and read her actual...
Absolutely incredible. Fantastic job doing that. It's a story I haven't thought of in a really, really long time. And
well, you know, here's the thing, and I know this is a longer one, so we got to get out of here. I was just thinking about the health stuff that I'm going through, how I was very fortunate. No, actually, I should take that back. The only reason that I was really heard and I have a plan of attack is because I obviously am now stage 4. So there's not really much I can do except for remove everything inside my body. But for a lot of people, women that are suffering through this, they're not really heard. And it's just like, you're crazy. It's just this, that, right? So that kind of got me started on this. But then also there's just a lot of fucked up things going on in our world aside from my fucked up things. And it just made me think about.
There's a lot of, I mean, go back to the one immigrant who was there because she couldn't speak English, and people are being held in places exactly like this in 2025.
This is why it's not really an oddity. No, it is an oddity because it's fucking odd that we're still in the same fucking place. But I know it's not our typical, but I feel like a lot. It doesn't matter. I'm not explaining myself. If you don't want to listen to this one or you didn't like this one, I'm not apologizing. I think that we should scream through the rooftops what we believe in and what we want. And
if you don't stand for this one, then there's no reason you should be listening. Sorry.
Heidi Kemper gave me a reading, and she said that basically like my strength, or like my, like what she sees on me is like my like throat, which means it's my voice. Like I am a boisterous person and I need to keep being. And I was like, I got you, girl.
There you go. Nice little shout out for Heidi, psychic medium we met from Michigan.
Great. Oh, the best reading I've ever had.
Oh, all right.
Anyway, I want a newspaper emoji.
Newspaper. Perfect.
Is there a newspaper one?
There's gotta be.
Or maybe a book. If there's not a newspaper, just do a book.
That works.
Ooh.
Wow. Is there anything we should lighten this up with before we go?
Do you have anything to lighten us?
Happy 2-ish weeks to Christmas, everybody.
Or holiday, you got your whatever gifts
you
going.
Yes, all the holidays coming. You know what? No, we don't always need to lighten it up. I think that's the one people should sit and
let's sit in it.
Yeah, sit in it. All right. What do these people need to do so they can go sit in it?
Love each other, love everybody else. Maybe we can come up with like a foundation for something.
I like that.
Okay. But anyway, the most important thing that you could do for us is to use your voice and breathe it real, my little oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.